Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started in about 2 or 3 minutes. We hear there's heavy traffic, so just hold tight, and we'll get started with this great conversation here in a second. Good evening, everyone. My name is Terry Hennings, and I am a social studies teacher at Garner Magnet High School. I'm also a proud graduate of NC State's College of Education. Go Pack! And I'm honored to serve as your MC for this evening. On behalf of the News and Observer and NC State's College of Education, thank you for joining us and being here for this important conversation about the status of the teaching profession. The News and Observer reported last week that there are currently more than 3,500 teaching vacancies in North Carolina public schools. And while the number of vacancies is not as high as last year around this time, schools are now being allowed to hire individuals by utilizing an alternative licensing process. This means individuals are able to start teaching with little or no training, and they can bypass the preparation programs that a fully licensed teacher would have to complete. This is just one of the many issues that we will discuss here this evening. Now, I am one of those individuals that took an unconventional path to becoming a teacher. Before becoming an educator, I served 25 years in the United States Air Force. Being in the military taught me skills such as structure, discipline, and time management. But going through the teaching program here at NC State taught me how to become an effective educator and how to deliver quality instruction. So I am grateful to be part of this much-needed discussion regarding the way ahead for our future teachers, and I can't wait to hear from our first-year student panelists who have chosen to become educators. All right. Before you meet our future teachers, we'll hear from individuals who have made significant contributions in the field of education and will help us put tonight's conversation into context. First, I'd like to welcome the Dean of NC State's College of Education to the stage, Ms. Paola Shine.
Good evening, everybody. How is everybody doing? Yeah. So thank you, Terry. What Terry did not say is that beyond being a veteran and being a graduate of our Masters of Arts in Teaching, an alum from our program, he is also the Wake County 2023, I think, Teacher of the Year. So let's give him a hand. I went and visited Terry and his colleagues at Gardner Magnet High School last week. And it was such a lovely conversation, in part because there are teachers at that school who have been there 10, 20 years. And that sense of community that was in that building is something that reminds me of why we joined this profession, why we want to be educators, and why we want to have a community where we can work together and support students. So thank you for hosting me while I was there. It was really amazing. So this conversation today is really about what we are calling elevating the profession. There is so much discussion about the problems in education, and we are not talking enough about the beauties of being a teacher. Why is it that we do this job? The contributions that we have in people's lives, the differences that we make. And so today we want to hear from students who are choosing to be educators at a time when so many are, I imagine, telling them don't do this, but yet we are here, right? We are all here because this is such important work. So I can't wait. I am so grateful to these students. And I think you are amazing, and the fact that you just got here and you're willing to advocate for this profession, I'm really proud of you and of our students in general. I have a list of thank yous, and when you do that, you always run the risk of missing someone. So I'll say some general thank you. But we have many partners and supporters here, and to all of you, you know, we are forever thankful. Every time we have the opportunity to partner, to work with you, you know, it enhances our college, and we are very appreciative of what you do. So we have some school administrators here. For example, I know we have the Edgecombe Early College principal, Matt Briston Smith, here. I'm highlighting him because two of his students are in the panel today. We have officials from the Department of Public Instruction. Thank you for everything you do to support education in our state. We have other deans, some deans from NC State here. I know I have colleague deans attending these events through the live stream, so thank you for that work. We have school board members here. We have State Board of Education member Joe Kamnitz, who will say a few words, so thank you for being here with us tonight. I know there are many current teachers here. There are some retired teachers here. Thank you for all you do. We really appreciate your work. And we have many of our students at NC State. So I thought I would ask them to stand up so you can see some of the future teachers who are here in the room. So if you're a teaching fellow, oh, all of you at once. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was going to call a group at a time, but I would just say we have some teaching fellows here. We have transformational scholars here. That's a partnership for teachers. We have transformational scholars in the panel. And we have, you know, amazing students from our program. So again, thank you for answering the call, for choosing education, for being here, and for preparing for a future in education. So finally, I want to thank the News and Observer for this partnership and organizing this event with us. This has been a real pleasure and helping us elevate the needs of more people engaging and participating in education and choosing education. So thank you for highlighting that. And thanks for helping give a voice to those who have chosen the profession. So I want to thank and invite now the Executive Director of the News and Observer, Bill Church, to come up and also deliver some welcomes and greetings. I wish everybody a wonderful event. I can't wait to hear you all. So thank you.
Thank you very much. If I was any type of editor, I would have made sure not to follow you. Thank you so much for being here. I can tell you that to share a stage with 5 first-year students who want to become teachers, already rock stars for facing this crowd. A Teacher of the Year, a retired but Superintendent of the Year, This from a guy who got a D in high school journalism. So you too can succeed. Actually, this is already going to be a great day for me. I've already had a scoop of Howling Cow's banana pudding ice cream, and didn't get any of it on me, so I feel like this has been a success. I do appreciate y'all coming here, and when your wonderful dean and when Cherry approached us about partnering on an event like this, one, how can you turn them down? And two, of course we would do this. When we take a look at the coverage in our community, there's no doubt where our audience has an interest in what they want to know about. And one of our co-moderators today, if he doesn't mind standing up, Kern Huey, has been covering education for a couple of decades. And is one of the preeminent voices in terms of covering high school and education from the state funding perspective. And he's back there, Kern's editor, and he also has the task of editing my column on Sundays. Thad Ogburn, our managing editor, is here. So again, thank you for coming here. We've all been affected by teachers in our lives. Teachers who are in our families, teachers that we know that have put us on the right path. From that D in high school journalism, I managed to get a full-time job eventually. So all can work out really well. So thank you again for being here.
A special thank you to Dean Shine, editor of the Church, the College of Education, and the News and Observer for organizing this event. They have assembled veteran educators and first-year College of Education students, so hopefully tonight we can create a dialogue that will help us find ways to attract more individuals into the teaching profession and greatly reduce the number of teaching vacancies we have each year in the state of North Carolina. We are very grateful to have Jill Cabinets with us this evening. Ms. Cabinets has been a strong advocate for our community's youth through support of public schools. Currently, she's a member of the State Board of Education and represents the Northeast region. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Cabinets to the stage to deliver opening remarks.
I wish all my colleagues on the State Board could be here with me tonight and see these wonderful faces in this audience. I cannot tell you how hopeful it makes me feel. The number of you that are there and committed to this career, it just makes me so happy. And so I'm glad to be here with you. Just a little bit about me. I served for 18 years on the Pitt County Board of Education, and this is my 5th year on the State Board of Education. But my first job in education was PTA. So it's been a long journey, and it's gotten me to this point. It's sort of amazing when I think back about it. But that long involvement in support of education is grounded in my strong belief that education is the future of our democracy, and we can't exist without a strong public education system. Our future leaders are learning in our schools today. We know that teachers are the #1 school-related factor impacting student outcomes. And we know that every child deserves to have an effective teacher, a highly effective teacher, every year. During a recent student roundtable convened by Senator Jay Chaudhary, students were asked about school successes. What did they like about their school? Every one of them mentioned their teachers. Yet we're seeing a steady decline in enrollment in our colleges of education, as you all have already heard. If we can't make the teaching profession a meaningful and attractive option, we're in trouble, which is why this panel today is so timely. Teachers care deeply about kids. And to paraphrase Krista McAuliffe, which some of you may not even know who she was, but the younger members of the generation, teachers touch the future. Over and over, teachers have proven this to be true, inspiring us with their commitment, dedication, and willingness to go to great lengths to meet the needs of their students. There is much to celebrate in North Carolina right now. While we're not back to where we were pre-COVID, Our student test performances from last year show us a steady recovery. Letters training is giving our pre-K through 5th grade teachers a science-based approach to reading instruction. We are hearing from teachers across the state that this is a game changer in their classrooms, and the data are starting to show that is true. Last year, Superintendent Truitt convened a large statewide group, we may have some people who were involved here, to develop the North Carolina Portrait of a Graduate, which defines 7 competencies that our students need to be equipped for a full range of post-secondary opportunities. Those 7 competencies are going to be part of giving to teachers support in embedding those soft skills in their instruction, something that we all know is equally important to the academic side of things. There's also a movement away from using a single end-of-year test to judge school performance toward a more balanced formula using multiple factors. More than 20 districts across our state have developed advanced teaching roles, which give teachers an opportunity to grow their leadership skills, compensates them for their extra responsibility while they remain in their classroom. So I see great hope with this program. In many districts that we've already heard about Garner, particularly in more rural areas like the Northeast, schools are the heart of their communities. And I think that several of our panelists can probably confirm this to us. But as we have some challenges, starting with our teacher pipeline and our ability to retain teachers, particularly in their first few years in the classroom, we have some challenges. Let me go back and start over on that. We have some challenges. The first one begins with our teacher pipeline and our ability to retain teachers. We have a 7.8% vacancy rate across the state. Our average salary ranks 36th in the nation. And as neighboring states in the Southeast increase their teacher pay, North Carolina is less competitive each year. Our licensure system, which some of you have not encountered yet, but you will, is inflexible and difficult to navigate. The diversity of our teachers does not match our student population. Opportunities for professional growth are erratic and inconsistent. Right now, particularly in our present climate, many teachers are feeling a lack of respect and a lack of trust for their knowledge and abilities. And a pending expanding investment in vouchers risks sapping the funding of traditional public schools, and the comprehensive plan approved by the courts in the Leandro case has not been fully funded by the General Assembly, so we do have problems. Just a little sidebar, if the North Carolina public school system were a well-run business, I imagine that many of these problems would be solved. Management would treat their employees with respect, honoring them for their work and creating a positive environment by displaying trust and confidence in them. Compensation would be competitive, and the resources that employees need would be provided, with no unnecessary burdens that keep them from doing their jobs. $3 billion in company reserves would be invested in the company rather than the competition. Management would make clear that their company was the best choice for their customers. But neither the State Board nor the Department of Public Instruction has the power to make those things happen. So what can we do? Many of these challenges are addressed in a plan called the North Carolina Pathways to Excellence for Teaching Professions. It proposes a series of entry points into the profession with established requirements for each, opening the door for a more diverse teaching force. It articulates pathways for advancing through the licensure process and includes certification and funding for advanced teaching roles statewide. It increases compensation as teachers grow in competence and expand their impact, and it includes multiple measures for assessing the competency of teachers using student-focused measures of teacher effectiveness. It provides tools and structures to support teachers through the various levels of licensure and continued professional learning and advancement. The State Board and the Superintendent of Public Instruction have requested permission and funding to pilot this program, and we are hopeful that the General Assembly will agree. But what else can be done? An expansion of programs like Teaching Fellows and states' own transformational scholars would be hugely helpful in recruiting more candidates to our schools of education. Our 5 panelists have already taken the first step by enrolling here and by being part of this panel tonight, advocating for the next generation of teachers and students. There's an audience full of future teacher leaders. For all of you, talk to your peers, your families, and your friends about the realities that you face and the solutions that our state should be acting on. Encourage all of your fellow citizens to voice their concerns and expectations to their legislators, since they control public education in North Carolina. When you get to your classrooms, be aware that you are part of an ecosystem that supports your students, and it includes not just the school community, but also their families and the broader community. As for Gen Z, we're hearing from teachers across the state that COVID has changed their students. They look at the world and themselves differently. I think that Gen Z has a particular skill set that will be of huge value over the next few years as you all become teachers. You've experienced the years of COVID as students yourselves, so you can be experts in your schools on reaching and motivating students. Vote in every election, local, state, and national. And finally, start every day with renewed excitement. Every day is a new day in the classroom. Despite all the stresses and demands of teaching, I believe most teachers would tell you that there's nothing like the feeling that you have touched the future. Thank you.
Ms. Kamnitz, thank you for those opening remarks, and thank you for your tireless work you do with the State Board of Education. Thank you. As we move into the panel discussion, I'd like to ask our students and our future rock stars and moderators to take a seat on the stage. All right, introducing our student panelists are Kaya Connor, Dariana De Leon, Olivia Ferlito, Josh Webb, and Coley Welch. All right. As they make their way up, I would like to share a few notes about our panelists and the rules of engagement for our discussion here this evening. All of these students participating as panelists are first-year students at NC State, and they began college less than a month ago. All of them plan to be teachers and volunteer to be part of this public dialogue, so thank you. Our first-year students will introduce themselves to you in a moment, but you can also read about their short bios on the back of your program. All right, we will have about 45 minutes of discussion. Then we will allow questions and comments from you in the audience. Joining our students on stage will be our moderators, Dr. Aona Smith-Williams, the Associate Dean for Student Success in the College of Education, and Kern Huey, the News and Observer's K-12 education reporter. I will now turn it over to our moderators.
Good evening, and thank you again for joining us, and especially thank our panelists who answered the call to be here today. We're going to that you like to teach, and then share with the audience a teacher that made a difference in your life. Everybody hear me okay? Need to, there it is. Okay. Want me to start all over? Okay. Good afternoon, good evening. And thank you again for being here, and thank our panelists for answering the call to be here today. We're going to start off by asking each panelist to give their name, their hometown, the area they like to teach, and then share a little bit with the audience about a teacher that made a difference in their life. Kaya, you want to start off? Yeah. Okay.
So my name is Kaya Connor. I'm from Holly Springs, North Carolina, and I'm majoring in elementary education. I'd say a teacher that made a difference in my life would be Miss Saylor. She was I had her my first year for child development, my first semester, and then I also had her again my second semester as a senior for early childhood education. And my first year, my freshman year, was also her first year teaching, and I definitely saw her like grow and saw her like gain confidence as a teacher. And I went abroad with her. She was my chaperone when I went abroad my junior year. So I also got to know her on like a personal level. So that was really nice.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Joshua Webb, and I am from Nash County, but I actually went to high school in Edgecombe County. And I am majoring in middle grades education with a concentration in English and social studies. And I would have to say that a teacher who made a difference in my life was my scholar teacher director, Mrs. Leanne Webb. The conversations we had about teaching was, they were always awesome. They were always positive. If I was ever feeling down, she was always there to lift me up and remind me why I wanted to do this work. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here today.
Hi, my name is Olivia Ferlito. I'm from Raleigh. I'm also majoring in elementary education, and a teacher who made a difference in my life was my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Ross. I actually went to elementary school down the road at Wiley Elementary School, and she was just cool. Like, like that cool teacher, like she was cool. And so she was sort of taught like science and social studies. We had 2 class pets. We had a tarantula and a leopard gecko named Gucci Gucci, and she would let us take them, well, not the tarantula, but Gucci Gucci home, and we would take care of them on our breaks. Like, I was in charge of feeding him every morning, and she was just so hands-on, and it was just so inspiring to see the creativity that she would let us express in the classroom, and so, yeah.
Hello, my name is Jayana DeLeon. I'm from Edgecombe County, North Carolina. My major is math education with a concentration in middle grades. A teacher who inspired me would not be a teacher, it would be my own principal. He's the one who sparked me to become into this educational journey, as I call it.
What's up, y'all? My name's Coley Welch. I'm from Burke County, North Carolina, and I'm going to be a high school science teacher. I'm hoping to teach there, but we'll see. We'll see how things shake out in 4 years. And a teacher who inspired me would be Chris Collins, and he was my high school biology teacher. And his approach to lesson planning and focusing on content over grades sometimes, and really helping us not only with school but life decisions, and really inspired me to be that kind of teacher. So.
Great.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. I wanted to ask you all about when you first became interested in teaching and what led your decision to become one. Whoever wants to take this.
I can say I remember at my 5th grade graduation, they had us write what we wanted to be when we grow up on like a little star. And I remember I wrote a teacher and a gymnastics coach. And it was actually, I didn't start really considering it as a career until I became a gymnastics coach. And I saw the impact I was making on these kids just being with them 2 or 3 days a week, and it just really made me think like I could really do this as a career and make an impact every day.
So for me, when I first thought about being a teacher, it was my junior year of high school. At first, I wanted to go into psychology and be a therapist, and then the more that I thought about it, the more I realized that I would confide in the teachers that I bonded with the most. And I was like, the teachers that I bonded with the most were the classes and the teachers that I felt like I learned and gained the most out of. And I thought about that, and I was like, well, I feel like I can be really personal with my students, and at the same time, the more bond you have your students, like the more they want to pay attention, the more they want to learn from you, the more you can get across from them. And so I just thought that was just really cool, and I really looked up to those teachers. And so that's when I was like, maybe teaching is just the way to go.
And so for me, I did not realize I wanted to be a teacher until around my junior year in high school. So we had a program, or senior year in high school, we had a program called Scholar Teacher. And I was very I was very adamant about not joining in it, and then and my principal and my school counselor, I would say they guided me towards it. And once I joined the program and I was able to get really engrossed in the content, I started to realize that I really did enjoy education, that I really did want to make the impact that so many teachers made on me. So that's kind of what led me to teaching.
Olivia, I believe you may have a interesting family perspective about teaching that you might be able to share with us.
So actually, I have plenty of family members who are teachers as well. I actually was talking to my mom earlier today because I was like, Mom, can you tell me how many and like who? Because there's just a lot. On my mom's side specifically, we have 7 teachers, 2 who got their teaching degrees from NC State. And on my dad's side, I have 4 teachers, and I never really realized how many teachers that we had in our family. But then when I was like expressing, they're like, "Oh, what are you like applying for college? What are you majoring in?" And I was like, "Education." They're like, "Oh my gosh, that is so cool, so inspiring." And I look up to them a lot because most of them are like high school teachers, but a couple of them, my aunt, she teaches at Lacey Elementary School, and they're just the best. I think they were so excited when they found out that I wanted to be a teacher because again, not so many students our age just don't want to take the teaching route. So, yeah.
So Kaya, Josh, and Dariana, you were part of what we call Grow Your Own programs. I think Kaya, you were with the Wake County Public School Future Teachers, and then Josh, you just mentioned you were with and both of you were with the Edgecombe County Early College Scholars Future Teacher Program. You alluded a little bit about how it impacted you, but can you share a little bit about how being a part of these programs played a role in you deciding, influenced you to becoming a teacher?
To me, it really inspired me because I got to go out to the local schools, out to my community, and see how impactful an educator is in the schools. Because one likes to think it's like, hey, we're going to see various schools, but you don't actually know until you step in that classroom. And so when I stepped into that classroom and like I saw the children, like you guys standing here, I was enthralled. I was like, this is where I'm meant to be.
So in our Scholar Teacher program, we talked a lot about the schools around our county and the homes around our county. And I'm a strong believer that schools are microcosms of their community. They produce, we like to think they produce highly qualified individuals who then turn around and go into businesses and become nurses and doctors and lawyers. But I remember going on a trip with our Scholar Teacher program, and we drove around Edgecombe County. And we were able to see the schools in the community, we were able to see the houses in the community, and how essentially a county or a school or a housing area where, like a neighborhood, are only as good as public schools. So that really drove me to want to continue this path and want to come back to Edgecombe County because it showed me where the need was and how impactful educators can be.
Kara, did you want?
Personally, for me, I didn't find out about the Wake County Future Teachers Program until I had already applied here and gotten in. So I already knew I was gonna do education, but finding out about the program was definitely very exciting as I did K through 12 in Wake County, and I love Wake County, so knowing that I get to teach there is really exciting. And I know going into college, you worry about not being able to find a job, so I won't have to worry about that because I have a job. So, yeah.
Cole and Olivia, what was helpful for you in fostering your interest in teaching as a profession?
So for me, my junior year of high school, my mom was a teacher, and up until then, I did not want to be a teacher. I didn't want to be like my mom. Going through like her 30 years, I did not want to be like her. But my junior year of high school, my science teacher took us. We have this countywide thing where we do EOG review, and it's science review for kids all over our county in elementary schools. And planning that and doing that for a whole day, I was exhausted, but I had a blast, and it was a lot of fun for the kids and for me. Lesson planning and seeing them, get excited when they finally clicked, and helping them actually prepare for their final exam was pretty cool to see. So that's what drove me.
Like I mentioned earlier, when I first started thinking about being a teacher was my junior year. And at first I was like, I want to be a high school math teacher because I had had not very great experiences with my math teachers in the past. And I was like, well, I want to be like, I'm just not very like good at math, like smart at the time I have tutors and things. I was like, well, I want to be that teacher that really sits you down and like helps you understand and like doesn't make you feel bad about it. And so that's when I first sparked interest in being a teacher. And then I realized elementary school, I thought back about all the teachers that really helped me grow because I did have a really hard time in elementary school. And I know so many children just struggle in that aspect too. And so I thought that's really where I belonged, even if I was just a counselor or just teachers, because kids will confide in you if they feel like they can. And I feel like that was really special, and I really wanted to be the person that could help children like that.
I'm sure you all are going to want to answer this question. So how have people responded to you when you've shared that you want to be a teacher like Coley? You are a male wanting to teach who has excelled in science and STEM, a good night teaching fellow, and so every time I'm sure people asked you, they thought you were going to say you're going to be probably pre-med or engineering. So how do people respond to you when you?
So starting out, like when I would ask teachers in my county if what they thought about it, I would get about half of the responses were, yeah, you should do it. It's a great profession. You're gonna meet a lot of cool people. And then the other half was run away as fast as you can. And seeing that in schools where we're having teachers who are burnout and they're not fostering that for their students is really hard to see when you've got teachers telling you not to do it. And then coming here, it is a surprise too, because yeah, I have the scholarship and stuff like that. People expect engineering or something really crazy, and no, I don't know what it is, but I just love being in the classroom. I love being in front of kids and meeting new people and getting excited about it. And I'm not sure how to explain it because it's really something only future teachers can understand.
Like to talk about when you've shared and what people have said?
Yeah, so I recently, when I was over here, maybe my third week or fourth week, so maybe last week, feels like it's been a year already. It's been here a month. But I was socializing and I was talking to people and meeting people, and we were sharing our majors. And I said, I'm majoring in education, and the person looked at me and very quickly goes, oh, so you want to live below the poverty line. And that really stung, especially because I have many reasons why I want to teach, and one specific reason that I always keep in front of my mind. But like Coley said, there's nothing else that I would rather be doing. There's no feeling that is comparable to being in front of a classroom and teaching. And I was able to experience that through the Scholar Teacher Program and through being a swim coach or a swim lesson instructor and a camp counselor. So there's just no amount of money that someone could offer me that would make me change my mind.
Anyone else like to respond to that? Okay.
Adding on to that, most people just, when I tell them my major, they just go, why? And I'm like, well, there's so many reasons why, but they ask me why in like kind of condescending way. Like everybody else has their majors, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. And then they get to education, they're like, why would you want to do that? And then it's like, oh, I have so many different reasons why. And then even after you're done explaining, it's like, it doesn't get through to your brain, their brains. And so just like they said, it's just a feeling that only teachers have, like the future teachers have.
Coley mentioned something about teachers. So did any of you ask your teachers for advice about, they give you advice, offer advice to you about becoming a teacher?
I can say when I was applying to, this college and other scholarships and programs, there was one teacher, Mr. O'Keefe. He was my American history teacher. He did like all of my recommendations. I was very thankful for him. And I can say he was one person that was very encouraging about me coming into this field. And he told me he'll always be here. Like when I start teaching, he'll still be teaching too. So he said I can always come to him if I have any questions or just need any support. So that was really nice to hear.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
We're entering a period of lots of challenges, opportunities for being a teacher. So I'm wondering if you could talk about, what reasons do you see for becoming a teacher, and why do you think it's a viable profession in 2023?
I like to put it as like teaching is the backbone of humanity. Without it, we wouldn't have any of the jobs you see today. People passing down information and just constantly craving knowledge and learning. So I think that in and of itself is incredibly viable. And so that's why it's extremely important that we keep a focus on education in our society, that we keep teachers in the classroom and keep helping them as much as we can, just because it is viable, as he said.
Well, touching on some, you've already mentioned this before in your prior comments, but I wonder if some of you could talk about, what do you see as some of the challenges facing becoming a teacher today?
So I would say one of the main challenges of becoming a teacher or working in a classroom is sometimes the lack of support from communities and sometimes even from parents. I think a lot of times people assume that educators don't know what they're doing and that they know what's best for their children. But teachers and all of us here today and all the people that stood up, we're all learning how to be educators, and we're all learning how to assist children excel in life. So a lot of times, I think a big obstacle is making sure that people understand that we know what we're doing and that we're going to keep fighting for children, and that we also know our content. Book bans are a big thing. And just recently, the Parents' Bills of Rights came out, and it's, limiting what teachers can talk about in the classroom. It's limiting the ability for teachers to connect with their students and allow students to confide in them.
I'd like to go off of what you said and mention in my county they tried to ban, I think, 5 or 6 books. And seeing some parents that want to limit certain aspects of our education for everybody, not just their kid, but everybody, and seeing my mom try to fight through that, and there were kids in our county that were at school board meetings, which is something you really don't see. It's just a challenge as a teacher to see your kids and to see politics try to really get in the classroom and change the way you're doing things. It's hard to do, and it's hard to know as a future teacher that you're going to have to deal with that.
Also, going off of that, safety, especially being a teacher in the classroom with everything that has been going on lately. It's hard not to go in your classroom and think like, oh, are we going to be safe here? Are my students safe? Because it's also like you love your students. You want to keep them safe, but also like you want to be safe too. And it's really hard, just like even as a student, like walking into high school, and then it's just like you hear all these things going on. You're on lockdowns all the time. You see these things on the news. It's heartbreaking, and just like seeing nothing really happening with that to help that get better is just really heartbreaking, and it's also just scary for any person going into a school.
Coley and Josh, you both alluded to the issues such as the Parents' Bill of Rights and the efforts about removing some books from schools. How does that impact your decision about wanting to become a teacher? Does that causing you to rethink that potentially?
If anything, it makes me want to get in the classroom faster, because I feel like the faster Gen Z and all the people in this room get in the classroom, the more we can fix and the more we can really do. Because if we have as many teachers that are in a shortage as we've talked about before, we need to be there. We need to be boots on the ground, So.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Thinking about it can give me a lot of anxiety. It can give me a lot of worry. But one thing that I remember, or one thing that I remind myself, is that I needed someone who looked like me, someone who is a biracial gay male. I needed that, and I can be that. So yeah, it's time to enter the classroom and and do what we can do to help students and help kids, regardless of the Parents' Bill of Rights, regardless of any political issues that are affecting education negatively. Yeah, I'm below the poverty.
I know you've all talked enthusiastically about becoming teachers, but I mean, what is your biggest concern or hesitancy about becoming a teacher? Is there something that you could see causing you to change your mind and not enter the profession after all?
I don't know that I could say. I think probably a common answer would be salary. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again, is that I know that when I get my first set of classroom keys and when I'm leaving to go to my car every day at 4 o'clock, you could offer me $400,000 a year or $40,000 a year, and I'm still going to do the job. So I don't know if I would say the salary is a big one. I know that's common. I would say the lack of support. That I think teachers are professionals, just like any other professional. We don't question. If you're in a dire situation, you're not going to question your doctor and say, well, why do you want to do this? You're going to take it because you know that it could save your life. And the fact of the matter is public school educators are saving the lives of children every day, and many of them are unheard.
I can say I know that teacher burnout is a big thing, and I can say that's something we don't know what it will be like until we get in the classroom. So, again, like we just won't know. But I know we're all very enthusiastic about entering the profession. So I don't think there's something that would really make us not go into it. Like we all want to go into it and see what it's like because we all know like we love it and it's going to be good.
I realize that situations vary for some of you, but for those who may still have this as an issue, what impact, if any, does student loan debt play out as you consider becoming a teacher?
So, one thing that I will say is that I think North Carolina is moving in the right with implementing these programs such as Transformational Scholars. I know that in Transformational Scholars I was awarded money to help pay for my college fees, and back in my home county in Edgecombe and many other counties around North Carolina grow our own teacher programs. And these programs sometimes offer money to future educators to go to college, learn, and then come back and invest in the county. So I can't say that loan debt is a big factor or a big worry for me because I know that these programs do exist and there's more of them coming up every day.
Yeah, so I just want to mention teaching fellows. There we go. It's a little bit broader than that, but it's just the whole state. So it keeps our teachers in North Carolina, so they're not going to states with to different states, maybe moving out of the country to teach. It just keeps us here for at least 5 years, I think. Try to keep us in the state.
Or perhaps rephrasing the question, how does it feel knowing that you will not have large amounts of loan debt when you leave there?
Feels great.
Yeah.
No, it feels awesome, but yeah, even if I like I was saying, even if I did have that loan debt, I think our students deserve us in the classroom. So despite that, we would still be there.
Hearing all of you talk about how excited you are to become teachers. Can you help us or tell us how can we support you to make sure you stay on this journey? So what are some of the things you think you would need to continue? And then also, what do you think you'll need to be successful in your future career as a teacher? Dariana, you want to?
So,
because all of you are talking about, you're excited about being a teacher. What do you think you'll need to make sure that you walk across that stage in 4 years? How can we support you?
As Josh was saying, the sense of community, I think, is a major factor. I feel like everyone here, at some time, we feel like we're by ourselves, that we feel lonely, and we don't, it's the end of the world type of thing. But I think here at NC State, we do a really good job about building communities, especially like me and Josh are in transformational. You have Good Night or other teaching fellows as well. So all those communities are really good. And I hope that even in my education journey, I as well have good sense of community as well, because I think that would be a factor that I would like to see in the future.
Good. Anyone else? What do you think you'll need to be successful in your future career as a teacher? What are some of the things to be successful you think you'll need?
I think one thing would be real conversations in our teaching classes. I think a lot of times we talk about methods and we talk about the way that we can impact students, but I think having real conversations and hearing stories from educators and having educators as our professors would be awesome. It would be life-changing because it would help us enter the classroom more prepared.
I think also getting us classroom experience as soon as possible too, because again, I'm elementary, like I don't know which grade I want to teach yet. Like I want to go out and experience all of this, and like get experience just like even if it's just observing as soon as possible, just so I'm not like thrown out there and I'm kind of clueless. So just so I have experience.
Historically, I mean, there was a perception that, you know, people would enter teaching and that was something that they might retire from. I realize it's kind of unfair asking people who are in their 19 and 20 about this, but how long do you envision yourselves potentially staying in the classroom as a teacher?
I see myself going the full 30 years right now. But, I mean, I'm hoping by the time we all get out, or at least in the coming years, we'll get a little more pay for maybe a master's degree or something like that. That would make it easier. But I could see myself for the full 30 years. I don't know about you.
I agree too. My aunt, she's a high school teacher. Well, not anymore. She's retired, but she retired fairly, I'd say like 50s, late 50s. And I aspire to be like her at the same time. But I also, like, if I still love it, I will continue to do it. There's no stopping.
I can't say that I would or wouldn't be in the classroom for 30 years. It's hard to say that, but I certainly see myself in education for 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 years, maybe. I don't know, but I know I see myself there for a long time because, as stated in North Carolina's state constitution, is that the 1.5 million students in our state deserve a sound basic education. And I'm willing to be there for as long as I need to make sure that happens.
Okay.
I am wondering, since this is a statement I have heard more than a few times, that Gen Z is not a generation now that is probably looking to stay in the same profession for multiple years. That's something that's going to change careers maybe a dozen times. Is that something you see as being the case now for other people who are maybe considering becoming teachers?
So when I mean like changing profession, I don't mean like changing my career, but I love music a lot. I have done music my entire life, and so I've also thought about, instead of just being a teacher in the classroom, also becoming a music teacher as well, and like going and getting my master's after. I was also very inspired by like my chorus teacher and other things like that. So if I were to change my profession, it would just be what I am teaching.
I could see that too. Like there's education so broad. You could go into administration. You could you could run for school board. You know, there's places to grow and to go to in education that would cover, you know, the Gen Z excitement and career change. Yeah.
As was mentioned earlier, there are over 3,000 teaching vacancies in the state. How can you encourage other people to become teachers? How do you think that can be done?
I think it's not just the students around us, but I think once we get into the schools, I think, like, again, we've been inspired by our teachers to become teachers. I think once all of us get in the classroom, we will inspire the generation below us to also become teachers. And I think, like, after us, you will see a lot, hopefully, you will see a lot more wanting to become teachers as well, because I think Gen Z is very influential and just a whole new generation. And I think we can be a part of the help to make the generation under us want to become teachers.
I can say personally, for me, don't let the salary change your mind, not to be blunt, but because for me, teaching was something I knew I wanted to do for a while, but the salary just made me not want to do it because I didn't want to be like, I can't afford to live. But teaching was really the only thing that I really had passion for. So you just have to really think about what you really know you want to do and not let other things or other people influence or change your mind.
Tell us about the kind of teacher you envision being.
My goal is to just be a mix of a lot of teachers that I've had. So I just want to be excited and fun and trying to come up with new ways to get my kids excited, or listening to older teachers and taking stuff from them and trying to just be the best I can be.
I know for me specifically, the reason why I want to be an educator is because you don't really see a bunch of Latino-based educators. So I am here advocating for diversity. That is why I am here for diversity. Be the spark of change.
So I would say a cornerstone would certainly be diversity as well and equity, but I want to be the kind of educator that no matter what zip code you come from, whether you come from the wrong side of the tracks or whether you come from a house with a hole in the window, that when you step into my classroom, it's learning time and it's time to be you and make sure that kids feel safe when they come in my classroom. Unfortunately, we can't stop what happens when they leave the room, but we can make sure that the X amount of time they're learning in the class is vital and helpful for them.
For me, I want to make sure that my students are excited about learning, and I want to be the teacher that gets to know each and every one of their students. And yes, I'll probably have a lot, but somehow every teacher learns the names of their students, and I want each and every one of my students to know that, like, I'm always there for them, and I want to like notice when they're struggling in something, because I know students, especially like younger children, are very like tentative when it comes to asking questions, or when they're struggling, they don't want to like speak up. And I feel like lots of teachers just kind of like let students just struggle and they don't try to help them. But I want to go to them, even if it's in private, and just let them know that I'm there for them. They can talk to me about anything, and I want to help them learn and grow in their education, because I feel like lots of students like leave high school and they feel like they didn't learn very much, or they didn't gain many relationships with teachers out of it. But I want to be like the teacher that they remember, that they learned a lot from, and also like had a friend out of.
I can say for me, just summing up basically what everyone has said, I want to be the teacher where you make an impact, where they remember you their whole career. They're like, this teacher, she did this for me. Where you can come to them, because not everyone does have the best home life, so they can come to my classroom and they feel safe and they feel welcome. And I've seen TikToks where teachers will have like handshakes with all of their kids. I think, yeah, I want to be like that.
So despite all the challenges you've heard this evening, the good stuff and the stuff that makes you kind of question, I'd like to end with each of you just sharing your why. Why do you want to teach? I think that's a great way to sum it up. We may have some K-12 students in the audience. We may have students who are still thinking about what they want to do. So tell us your why.
For me, I think my why is I'm going back to my mom again. My mom seeing us in, like, we'd go to grocery stores in town, and you would see like 6 students walk up to her and say, "Hey, I remember you. You were, you know." I want to have that specifically. I'm so jealous of that I have people that not only remember me, but they remember something specific that I did. Just getting that after 20 some years would be really, really cool to have.
I would say my why definitely deals with equity, and also, like I said before, making sure that no matter where the student comes from, that when they come in my classroom, they're safe and they're heard. Because, growing up, I had very few teachers that I can count on one hand how many black teachers or biracial teachers I had, and it's unfortunate. A lot of barriers that are holding people of color back from the classroom, but that's my why. So I know that every single paper I do, every single assignment I turn in, it's for my future students. So I keep that in the forefront.
My why, as I said before, is being diverse and inclusive. As you may or may not know, the Latino population in North Carolina is growing. And right now, I am bilingual, and I am proud of that. I am able to speak both Spanish and English, a fortune, that my peers do not know. So I am blessed with that. I can see other Latino girls, Latino boys, or other people minority, and they can come into my classroom and be like, "You are diverse. You look like me, or you look different from me." So that is my why.
Oh, well, although I don't know how to speak 2 languages, I say my why is out of everything I've already said. I just want students to feel like they can come in and learn, and students that don't feel like they need to be on their phones the whole time, which in some classes you just walk in and you're just on your phone the whole time. I want to be the teacher that everyone's captivated and then they really want to sink in and learn. And also I want to be the teacher that understands what they're going through and also just make sure they can talk to them. I don't know, I feel like representation is very important, like you guys said. On top of that, also educate, learning is also very important. And I feel like after COVID, being on computer screens, there's not been a lot of really sit-down learning, and I feel like that's very important and something that I wish I had, my last years of high school when I felt like I couldn't learn very well.
Again, just summing up basically what everyone said, I want to make an impact, and I want to be different. I want to be the teacher you can come to if you're struggling, and my classroom is a safe space. You feel like you can talk to me. That's definitely the most important thing for me. And I think for all of us, we are very excited to go into this field.
Thank you all. That was our last question for the evening.
Wow, let's give our student panelists another round of applause, please. I want to let you guys know you guys have truly inspired me. Whenever there has been great change in our nation's history, it has started with our youth. So our teaching profession is in great hands, thanks to you guys. Wow. So thank you to our student panelists, and I'm glad you guys have chosen to pursue careers as teachers. We now have time for questions and comments from the audience. If you have a question for any of our speakers tonight, not just our student panelists, but any of our educational leaders here tonight, or if you have something that you would like to say or share, please raise your hand and one of our student ambassadors will come to you with a mic. All right, up front. Margaret. We have a mic for you.
Hey, Dariana, I wanted to ask you about being a participant in the NC State's LIFT program, their Leadership Institute for Future Teachers, what says in your bio in 2021, and how that program helped you find your way to state.
So, yes, I was part of the LIFT program, so Leader Institution for Future Teachers here at NC State. That program really solidified what I wanted to do. I got a glimpse of what the education program looks like here at State. I also got to meet new friends and stuff. They were all about diversity as well. So I remember some people who spoke like German, French, so like I was all about the connections, and it really, also I got to speak with like a teacher of the year as well, so that was really inspiring, so.
Hi, I'm Matt Bristow-Smith, Edgecombe County Public Schools. First, Kaya Olivia Colin, thank you. In addition to Josh and Dariana, we would like to invite you to come back to Edgecombe County, and certainly we have a job waiting for you there. And any other NC State graduates or graduates to be, Edgecombe County is an amazing place to work, and it is my responsibility standing up here to recruit you. But that said, to each of you who were in high school 3-4 months ago, right, less than that, I want to ask about the perspectives of your peers that graduated from high school, and certainly you knew that you were headed to college, you knew you wanted to become educators. I'd like to know if you're able to articulate the reasons that other people gave you for why they were not interested in education, because to me that's a real research question. It's a problem of practice if we're looking at high school students that are considering the panorama of career opportunities for them. What are the things they said to you that might have been a difference maker in the decisions they made about their future? Thank you.
For me, being in elementary ed, most of my peers just don't like children or like being around kids. And I mean, I'm not like that, but I mean, it's their preference, their thinking. But I don't know, I feel like being around children, like, although some can be troublesome, most of them, like when you get to the heart of them, like they're so sweet and they want to learn, they want to grow. And so I'd say like most of my peers just don't want to be around kids for their career, which I don't blame them. So
I would say salary was a very common answer, which is interesting because I don't think there's enough transparency about salary, really at any career. But if I had to think about one career that you can go and look up on a computer, how much they make and the salary schedule for 15 years out, it would be education. You know, I could look up what I would make in year 25. So I think salary was a big one, but I also don't think there's enough transparency about it. I don't think there's enough real talk about it. When we think about starting salaries for any career, what are they? So I think there needs to be more transparency about it overall.
For Josh and Dariana, as second year cohort of the Transformational Scholarship Program, stop laughing at me. These three are also scholars. What, I know y'all just started, but what kind of trainings and, hold on, you gotta give me a minute, they messed me up. What have y'all learned so far in the scholarship program that has helped you and encouraged you to become future teachers in Eastern North Carolina?
Can you repeat that?
Sorry. Okay. I'm going to start over. Okay. So as the second cohort of Transformational Scholars, what programs or trainings have y'all had so far that have encouraged you and just like made you think about your future career in Eastern North Carolina, and what impact can you give to your home counties or your home county?
I think a lot of time, like in the Transformational Scholars Program, we haven't been in it for too long, but we have had real talk about Eastern North Carolina and every county east of 95. And I think having that real talk about the I-95 corridor and everything east of it, and what opportunity is there and what opportunity isn't there, that's already preparing us because we know what we're stepping into. We know that, you know, when we go there, we have to have we have to put our best foot forward every single day. So that's already starting us off on a good foot.
Yes. Also, from our home county, we're scholar teachers, so we also have real experience. So we've already been into the classroom, which is very, very nice compared to my other peers. Also, through this program, I've also learned about the roadmap of need. I don't know if you're familiar with that, which basically showcases all Eastern North Carolina schools and like the roadmap. If you look it up, just Google it, and you would see like how much need there is in eastern part of North Carolina. So I know that, how Josh was saying, a bunch of need in eastern part of North Carolina.
Okay. So I believe there was a talk about a loss of like support. I would even say a loss of respect for the teaching profession that we're seeing in today's climate. So I'm asking you, what do you guys think needs to happen, or what do you guys think steps can be taken that you could take as a teacher, or just as a community of teachers that need to happen to be able to regain that respect or regain that support?
I think like communicating. I think parents are a big problem with that. I think communicating with parents and saying like, okay, this is the state lesson plan I'm getting. This is what I'm teaching your kid. This is, this is what I'm doing in the classroom with your child. I think that would help a lot with transparency and like them getting that respect back. And I think the higher education you get, the more qualified you're going to be to teach kids in the classroom. So I think that, showing that, and then respect in politics. I think that's a big issue, is we need people in politics that are advocating for us and trying to help with salary, incentives, and just all that.
Yeah, and I just would say let teachers teach. They are masters, most of the time master's level professionals who know what they're doing. But I would also say that the way that teachers are trained, or the way that people are able to enter the teaching profession needs to change. It was mentioned at the beginning of the panel, but there is very few careers where I don't have to get a degree in that specific subject and then enter it and say, well, I have a degree in biology, I'm going to go be a nurse, and give me about 3 years, I promise I'll get it, I will get my certification, and I've got it. Why is that the everyday thing with teaching? We need to be, I feel like once teachers are able to enter colleges of education and that becomes the norm, it will be seen as a profession, and it will be seen as something that is like every other profession.
Hi, so my name is Tiffany Flowers, and I'm a recent graduate. I graduated in 2021 from Towson University with a Bachelor in Elementary and Special Education, but I only stayed teaching for 2 years. And my cohort had 21 members. About 50% are still in the profession and more are leaving. And I actually just started my master's here at NC State in higher education. So there's about 5 of us who were former teachers, and they too only taught for a year or 2. So what is your plan of action to help with those retention rates? Because when I was an educator, I suffered severe burnout. I would go home and work for 4 and 5 hours trying to get the lesson plans in. I saw racial disparities and equity gaps. I've been called racial slurs by students. Administration wasn't helping me. So it's like all these stuff that's going on in the school system. What is your plan to make sure that you stay as a teacher?
That was a lot to unpack. I feel like standing up for yourself is, I'm sure you did, but I don't know, it's hard when like you're burnt. I don't know, I'm not a teacher yet, so like I don't know if I'm gonna experience that burnout. I might, and then I might stop being a teacher. But I feel like standing up for yourself, and then if you feel like you do need to leave, you should, but at the same time, like standing up for yourself and doing what you believe in. And there's really I don't have no other way to how to answer that, and then to try to stand up for yourself and communicate with your administration.
We don't really know. We're a month in, but still, I don't know. I think taking it day to day and trying to find, for me specifically, trying to find the kids who need me and being there for them specifically. I think that would get me back in the classroom every day, and specifically working 6 hours outside of school. That's not overtime. So I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I think there needs to be more transparency about the work that teachers do. I think there's this myth that, oh, you go to the classroom from 7 to 3 and you're off, and you have summers off, and all is great. And I think that's a big issue, is that you don't end at 3. A lot of times your summers are spent in professional development, and burnout can happen very quickly. So I think, like Coley said, and like we all said, is that we don't know all the answers, but to have a community and to start building that community early.
Again, I think that's something we can't really prepare ourselves for. I think you have to remember the reason you're doing this, and not it's also hearing that is what's gonna make people not want to be a teacher. So I think you really have to focus on the positive. I think we all have very positive reasons we want to be a teacher. And if we focus on the negative, that's what's going to make people not want to be a teacher. So we really do have to focus on the positive.
Hi, I'm Angela Connor. I'm Kaya's mom, and she is going to kill me for asking a question, but she knows I ask questions. So maybe this is a question not for Kaya. First of all, you all have been fantastic. I know your parents are super proud. But people talk about Gen Z, you're the change agents. You're the ones that are going to change things. You ask questions. You challenge the status quo. I kind of think because Gen X are your parents, but I'm part of that. But I just want to ask, what kinds of things are you looking for to change, when you have an opportunity? You want to tell parents to mind their business or get more involved, or just some candid things that maybe that you want to do when you become a teacher, because you'll be able to make a change, and you guys have all this energy doing it now, so we expect you to get in there and keep it going.
I think specifying on the parents thing, I've noticed in my schools that the more the parents get involved with like fundraisers and stuff like that, the more comfortable they are with the teachers and with giving their students, dropping their kids off at school every morning. So I think that the more parents get involved, the easier it is for educators too. So.
For one more question.
Josh, good name, also a Josh, middle school social studies teacher formerly. So throughout your teaching career and throughout anybody's career, and there's a lot of people in the audience that are not on stage, people are going to offer you great advice that you should pick up, take with you, and carry it. So to our moderators, from a more systems perspective and a much broader perspective on education, what gems, what pieces of wisdom can you offer to the individuals up there and the rest of us listening here?
I think it's important to, and then Paolo, feel free as the leader, as the leader of the college to say this. I think it's important, as what these students have said, is just to stay positive, because there's so many narratives out there, and so how we try to really deconstruct those and keep our kind of like eyes on the prize to say that it's not easy, but to stay positive and to reach out for the support. There's a lot of support here and in colleges across the state, and you just have to ask for that. And I think that's to be resilient, because it's not an easy path. And so I'm very proud of the energy that they are giving this. And that's why we asked about this, what support do you need? And I would say that for the teachers and the students in the audience also, is to seek out what you need to be successful and stay positive.
Putting aside my journalist hat for a moment, as a person who grew up, whose mom used to be a teacher, my oldest sister is an assistant principal, and my youngest sister was a teacher before she left. I say just don't be discouraged, just stick in there, and please, if you've got younger siblings, don't make them spend their time doing your grading of your exams if you can help it, okay? You should not be asking a 14-year-old student to grade, well actually, I was probably 18, but asking them to grade a high school calculus exam, because I'm not really the person to ask. But basically, yes, stay positive and just stay focused. I mean, I know there are times my sister, who's now assistant principal, she was discouraged, but she stuck it out, and I know at times she complains about, what's going on, but she's persevered, and one of the things she loves being an assistant principal is that she still gets to teach math classes too. So she's not fully just being an assistant principal. She's in there still teaching at the same time, and that's probably why she loves being an administrator, because she can do both jobs.
Thank you all for your questions and comments. All of us will be around afterward if you would like to continue the conversation. We're honored tonight to also have Dr. Valerie Bridges with us. Right. Dr. Bridges recently retired only a few weeks ago as the superintendent of Edgecombe County Public Schools. Dr. Bridges is a two-time NC State College of Education graduate. She is known for being a bold, compassionate, empathetic, and student-centered leader who led Edgecombe County Public Schools for over 6 years. During that time, she became recognized as a state and national leader in advancing educational innovation and equity within her school district and community. Dr. Bridges was also the 2022 North Carolina Superintendent of the Year. Her programs and initiatives have been featured in numerous national publications, including the New York Times and Education Weekly. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bridges to deliver closing remarks.
Wonderful. I just want you all to see my notes from our babies. I'm so excited. So again, good evening, and thank you for joining us to listen and to learn from our next generation of educators. So if you would, please, let's give them an appreciation with our applause. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So I am Valerie Bridges, former superintendent of Edgecombe County Public School. I never thought I would say former. I recently retired. This is week 3 after 34 years of working for the state of North Carolina. So thank you. Glad to be here. I wanted to spend more time with family, and you all understand that. My mother turned 80 this summer, and my grandson started middle school. And so for the last 3 weeks, I have been in everybody's business, and I love it. I love it. But it's been a joy. Edgecombe is a wonderful place to work, and of course, we have 2 of the scholars here on stage who are from Edgecombe, and I'm so proud and so thankful for them to just be a part of this university. I, too, am a graduate of NC State, and so glad to be here. As you saw tonight, our future is indeed bright. Look at our scholars. We don't have much to worry about. We just need more of them. And then we saw those in the audience who we know that if they were on the stage, they would shine bright too. So this is just a small example of their power, their determination, their love. I know you heard words from them that exuded love for students and for our community, their grace, and their resilience that they showed today. There are a number of salient points that they have shared, and I just want to lift a few of those up. I took notes, but then I added them to my notes here, so bear with me. I know you heard, I need someone who looks like me in the classroom. You heard those words. Nothing compares to teaching and the excitement of helping students to learn and to grow. Teaching is the backbone of humanity. Teaching makes all other professions possible. Public school educators are saving the lives of students. And then there were some challenges, safety concerns, and one of our panelists said, it's heartbreaking and scary, and indeed it is. Lack of support was another concern from the community and sometimes from parents. There was concern around book bans and Parents' Bill of Rights. But what I wanted you to hear most tonight was how brave they are, how bold they are, how determined they are, how positive and upbeat they are, how knowledgeable they are, and their concern with diversity and equity. That's our future. You can listen to the news and you hear lots of things. Some things are good, some things are not so good. But this is the future. They get to make the next moves in education, and I'm excited. I hope you all are excited as well. I want to share one final thought with you, and I've shared it a couple times over the last month, but I want to share it here tonight. I want you, just as fellow educators, future educators, friends of educators, I want you to always remember how important you are. And people will talk. We work. People will point fingers. We work. They will try to tell us how and what to do because, of course, they know everything that needs to happen. But they are not in schools and they are not in classrooms saving the lives of students. So there's a small portion of a speech that I want to share with you from April 23rd, 1910. And this is from Theodore Roosevelt. He gave a public address in Paris. At this time, he was the former president, having left office just 1 year earlier. And the name of his speech is The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or whether doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man or woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that this place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So what was Teddy Roosevelt capturing in his speech? He tells us that the man or woman we should praise is the man or woman who's out there fighting the big battles. Even if those battles end in defeat. So what does NC State provide us? It provides us a place to prepare for the arena. It provides an opportunity to refuel, to ask questions, to garner support, and to prosper with great ideas. And in short, it prepares us to be in the arena. So we have to ignore some of the noise, and we have to buckle our proverbial chin strap and battle through whatever comes your way. Because what I know about the folks on the stage is that you got this, right? So again, we're excited tonight to hear from future educators who said, yes, the salary should be more, but even if it's not more, I'm still gonna do it. That's what we need. Now, that doesn't mean don't pay them more, okay? Let's be clear, right? But they will do it even if the salary is not there. And that's what we mean by sticking to it, staying in the arena, and we know that you got it. And so I'll say to each of you, as I've said to my ECPS family, Dr. B loves you. Stick to the game, okay? We're out here cheering for you, and we are going to support you. 34 years, right? Okay. Congratulations and thank you. Can we give them another hand?
Thank you, Dr. Bridges. And thank you once again to our student panelists. And one of the favorite parts of tonight's program was when you guys told your why. So I briefly want to tell my why, right? Being Teacher of the Year, the question I get asked the most is, why did you choose to become a teacher after serving 25 years in the Air Force as a medic? Many times I realize what they really want to know is, Terry, you're an educated individual. Why would you go from one profession where you would never be rich into a second profession where you would never be rich? Simply put, I want to make a difference in the lives of our youth, especially those that look just like me. According to current statistics, African American males make up less than 2% of all teachers nationwide. If we want our students to be successful in a global community, we cannot continue to expose our students to a monolithic teaching workforce. So I have to do my part. Growing up in West Tennessee during my K-12 experience, I only had 2 African American male teachers and none during my high school years. And to this day, over 40 years later, I still remember the impact that those 2 individuals had on my life. I would not have been able to serve my country honorably for 25 years without the guidance of those 2 African American male teachers. I would not be standing here as Wake County Public Schools Teacher of the Year without guidance from those 2 African American male teachers. So each day, I strive to have that same exact impact on all my students' lives that those 2 African American male teachers had on mine. So that's my why. To my College of Education students, there is no greater joy than having a student come back to tell you how much you have personally impacted their lives. So guys, keep striving to make a difference. If you have been a teacher, currently a teacher, or will be a teacher, thank you, and I hope you would join me in encouraging others to give this profession a look. If you are not currently teaching and want to learn more about becoming one, some of our student ambassadors will be outside. And they will gladly share with you information about the pathways to joining this great profession. And lastly, thank you to all those who support future and current teachers and continue to uplift this profession. As Kern's story this week showed, and we've heard here tonight, it would take a collective effort to ensure we have highly qualified and motivated teachers that our students across North Carolina need and deserve. Thank you for being a part of that effort. Thank you for being here, and everyone have a good night.